Module 5, Treatment of Youth with Mental Health Disorders. Thus far, we have demonstrated that a large percentage of youth involved with the juvenile justice system have a mental health, substance use, or trauma-related disorder, and many have more than one. Although it would be most effective and less costly to treat youth and their families in their communities, quality mental health treatment must be available to youth at all critical contact points within the juvenile justice system. This includes when a youth is on probation, a youth is in a detention center, or a youth is in a correctional setting. At the conclusion of this session, we are hoping that you will be able to understand the importance of youth having access to treatment, be able to describe recent innovations in treatment, including the application of evidence-based practices, discuss special issues concerning treatment, and be able to understand a little bit about psychopharmacological treatment interventions. Before we start talking about specific treatments, we want to have you think about the question that's presented on this slide. What should the goals of effective treatment be for youth in the juvenile justice system? To help you in answering this question, the authors have broken it down into 4 smaller questions. What would you expect effective treatment for justice-involved youth to do? What would indicate treatment was effective? What changes would you expect to see in the youth? What measures would indicate that treatment is working? In empirical perspective, this is what researchers look at. Here are factors that researchers use to measure whether or not a treatment is considered successful. These factors are decreased mental health symptoms, reduced recidivism and reduced illegal activities, decreased out-of-home placements, and increased competencies. The increased competencies include increased school attendance and/or grades, better grades, increased quality of family interactions. Let's take a closer look at a couple of these. Decreased mental health symptoms. If a youth is depressed and exhibits symptoms of anger and irritability, if treatment was successful, we would expect less anger and less irritability. The same holds true for reduced recidivism and reduced illegal activities. If a youth has unmet mental health needs that led to delinquency, then we would expect successful treatment to have the youth show less rearrests and have less illegal activities. So how would these goals we just discussed on the previous slide impact you if effective treatment were widely available for all justice-involved youth? Would it change your work culture? Would it change your ability to do your job? Would it change your satisfaction with your job? And how would it impact your community? As it turns out, effective treatment not only benefits youth, their families, and the communities, it also benefits you, your work environment, and society as a whole. Thus, you might be interested in learning about treatments that have been proven to be effective. They're called evidence-based practices, or EBPs. Evidence-based practices, treatment proven to be effective. Over the past decade, there has been significant research on the effectiveness of treatment for adolescents with mental health disorders. This work has involved creating models of care that have been employed with youth in the community, specifically with youth in the juvenile justice system. The development of these EBPs, evidence-based practices, has typically involved a multi-step process, including applying and testing these interventions to determine that they are having the desired effect. Evidence collected in these outcome studies is then used to demonstrate that the therapeutic approach resulted in desired outcomes. These steps form the basis for an intervention to be considered evidence-based. So, evidence-based practices are well-researched and they are standardized treatment that result in improved outcomes. They take into account adolescent development. They can be incorporated into a program serving youth and their families, and they are increasingly being mandated by states because they have been proven to be effective. Up on this screen, you can see resources on evidence-based practices. There's 3 of them there. The first one comes from SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. That has the National Registry of Evidence-Based Programs and Practices. This online registry has over 200 interventions listed. The second one is from the Center for the Study and Prevention of Youth Violence at the University of Colorado. It operates the Blueprints for Violence Prevention Project, which seeks to identify violence and drug prevention programs for juveniles. The final one comes from the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, OJJDP. It covers prevention through reentry into the community. Even though you may not be directly involved with treatment provisions for youth, it is important for you to be aware of the trends and understand the significance of this movement towards research-based practices.